Hi, for this informative speech, I chose to talk about wine and the differences between mass-produced wine and natural wine, which tends to come in small batches. I canvassed my audience of my beautiful wife and two of her friends to test out their knowledge and see what they'd like to know about. So, what's the difference between this mass-produced bottle of wine and this small produced bottle of wine? So, have you ever seen the vineyards in Bordeaux, in BC, that are nicely trimmed, all straight lines? That's the majority of the vineyards that are used for mass production. The natural vineyards are overgrown, they don't use any pesticides, any additives, and especially when they come to make their wine, they tend to normally only have enough to make 12 to 25 cases. Now, I was lucky enough to spend some time with a good friend, Eric Mercier, who was one level below his masters in wine and is a natural wine importer for Juice Imports. Now, after spending some time with Eric, I learned that this mass-produced bottle of wine that makes over 12 million bottles a year has a lot of additives. As he described it, and as looking it up online and looking through Wikipedia, I found that they make their wine like Pepsi makes Pepsi. They canvass a focus group, they find out what people prefer. So do you prefer very dark red wine? Do you prefer the tannins, the big sweet cabs? And what they do on a mass production line, they add in the additives, the flavored yeast that makes it taste how we want it and how we feel we want that wine. Now, on these smaller produced bottles of wine, especially something like this orange wine, which has minimal skin contact, there was only 12 cases of that wine made for the whole of the world to enjoy. Now, the producer that made this, Strohmeyer, after researching on his website and on his wine biographies online, I found that he does it very naturally, the way his ancestors did it 100, 200 years ago. He grows his grapes on his family land and he uses no additives, no pesticides. And what you may not know is that natural wine are some of the only wines that are vegan friendly. These mass-produced wines, they add fish bladders and other animal products to collect the sediment particles, and once they come together, the weight takes them to the bottom. Whereas you would find with one of these natural wines that they're very cloudy, there'll be lots of sediment left in it, and they naturally ferment. So they are put in a barrel with the grapes and they are left for 6, 12, 18 months to naturally ferment. So you get a very funky smell, an earthy taste. They're very different to what a normal big boxed red wine would be. Now, just to shed some light on that, the initial bottle I showed you was 12 million bottles a year. This bottle that I have here made 3 cases, 36 bottles. This is one of only 6 bottles that was brought into Canada. Now, to get further knowledge and expand and look into the differences between natural wines and big boxed wines, I subscribe to a magazine called Pipette. Now, Pipette's a natural wine magazine. It tells you all the latest big names out there. It tells you how they're making wine, the biggest changes that they've found to do, the countries that are doing this best. And you will find that a lot of the natural wines are being produced in Austria, Hungary, the Czech Republic, all because they are doing it back like their ancestors did hundreds of years ago. Also, another good book that I find if you're willing to look up some natural wines is a book called The Wine Folly. And the Wine Folly looks into the wines, the types of wines, the flavors you should get, and what you should be tasting in that wine. So thank you for listening. I really appreciate it.